You've been in this business, the education technology business, a long time, and I'm curious. We see a lot of venture capital flowing into ed tech right now, but you don't see those unicorn valuations here very often. Why is that? Why is it so difficult to scale an education technology business?
Well, you know, it's interesting. First of all, thanks for having me on the show. It's interesting. The education technology space, you're right, there's a lot of money flowing into it because the system is changing right before our very eyes. If you think about the real change agent, it's the student. If you think of the consumer of education as the student, and for far too long, I think the education system hasn't been focused on the personality of the student. And so, you know, the system is changing around the student. The face of the student has changed from traditional learner, which is 4-year attendee of institution, to sort of non-traditional learner. 85% of North American students are non-traditional. They want flexibility. They want personalization. They want technology. They want social media to inform education. And so I think a lot of education technology companies have a hard time penetrating that because the system is really changing as we speak. This is real evolutionary right now.
Well, and on the one hand, looking at education technology, sure, it can expand your horizons, but also limit them and limit human interaction. Ben, I know you have some thoughts on this. You've got 3 kids. They've been educated partially in the UK, partially in the United States, and you've observed some interesting differences.
Yeah, so my kids have been through some amazing schools, but also to some really bad ones. And at the time, I was just saying, why on earth can't they learn from the best teacher in the world? You know, it doesn't matter if you're living in Delhi or somewhere else. If your teacher's no good or doesn't turn up, you can learn from the best people. You know, and in my mind, the role of the school, the role of the teacher needs to be much more around helping kids reflect on what they've learned rather than teaching them stuff. You know, the content out there is amazing. Yeah, so I'm absolutely on board. It should be totally transformed.
Jay, what are the most innovative things you're seeing out there? You know, all schools trying to reinvent school from the very beginning. I mean, what do you think of some of the ideas they've come up with? What does that actually look like?
But yeah, I think there's a lot of really cool things happening. I think that you know, Ben's 100% right. The paradigm shift that's happened with technology is allowing these cool things to happen. So you take a non-traditional learner. I was coming over here I was in New York last month, and I got into an Uber car. Right, we use Uber, and the driver has a laptop up on his armrest, and he's got my software on it. And I talked to him, and I said, you know, what are you doing with my? He's a City University of New York student, and he is virtually going to school. He's getting his PhD that way. He doesn't go to physical class. He's taking it in between fares. That's the non-traditional student. 85% of North American students are that. And so what we're doing at Blackboard is we're trying to shape our entire portfolio of technologies around that student, whether it's virtual classrooms inside the learning management tool, whether it's consistency around user interface, and very importantly, whether it's consolidating the data under the student's behavior, allowing them and their teachers to analyze it so intervention can happen before problems occur.
Interesting. All right, Blackboard CEO Jay Bhatt and Adknowledge CEO Ben Legg, thank you both so much for joining us. Obviously, a space that we're going to continue to watch, and that is rapidly evolving.